All right, I think I will start now so that we can meet up with the time. Thank you all for joining. And thank you to Mr. Victor for hosting us. And it's a wonderful time that meeting everyone again. And it's my prayer that God will unveil some things to us that will benefit us now and in the future. So I'm Solomon Akpofure, the Managing Director of Walk It Real Estate. And it's my pleasure to have you guys here. And I promise this meeting is not going to exceed 1 hour, which means we'll wrap up at exact 6 p.m. So maybe if others join us, they will join. Maybe we'll send the link of the recording. We'll send the recording so that they can follow up. So quickly is just introduction to real estate we're having today. And it's just to create an awareness, especially for those who don't know anything about real estate, and for those who want to venture into it as a business. Because one thing you must have at the back of your mind is that what you don't know is bigger than you. Anything you don't know is bigger than you. Just like Bishop Oyedepo rightly said, that there is no mountain anywhere. The greatest mountain we have is ignorance. So you must have it in mind that the reason why we see people having issues when it comes to real estate is because of ignorance. And ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to the law. Ignorance is not an excuse. And so there is a legal word they call caveat emptor. Caveat emptor means let the buyer beware. And let the seller, let the seller also beware. There is a legal word for that also. I can't remember that now. So when you are buying real estate, you must be careful. And when you are selling real estate, you also have to be very careful. And when you are a middleman, which we call the agent, we've modernized it. Realtor is someone that is standing as a middleman to link both buyer and seller. So at Workit, we are not realtors. We are real estate developers. So you must take note of that. When you call yourself a realtor, what you are simply saying is that you are an agent. So we are not agents. We are real estate developers, or we are real estate developing company. So we develop real estate. Now, what is real estate? Real estate in a simple form means land and buildings that are in the land and every other natural resources that are in that land. I hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, say I can hear you.
I can hear you, sir.
You can hear me. Type, you can hear me. And buildings and every other thing that is in that land. Take for instance, okay, I can see Brother Prince is one of our special. Can you say welcome to Mr. Prince? Okay, we've done an introduction. That's why I'm taking my time to introduce him. He's a wonderful man. Thank you for joining us. So like what I was saying, that people delve into things that they know nothing of. Can we mute our video? Victor, take note of that. Let them mute their video so that they can hear me clearly. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just raise your hand so that I can continue. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, like what I've said so far, for the sake of those who just join us, that people delve into business or businesses they know nothing about. And we have a whole lot of people who will call themselves CEO without even knowing what it means to be CEO. And land is a business that everyone is into, knowingly and unknowingly to them. Because everyone is in the business of land. But many of us, we don't know that. And so I define real estate for us as land and building and every other thing that is in that land. Every natural resources that is in that land, everything makes it real estate. And real estate, just like the name implies, is the only thing that is real, is tangible. You can't move it. Another 100 years is there. Another 500 years is there. Let there be tornado, let there be hurricane, let there be earthquake. The land is still there. And land has uses. Whether it is dry land, whether it is land that is flooded with water, it has uses. And so you must consider what you want to use the land for before you buy. And just like I've cited before, that there is no excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to the law. So whenever you want to buy a real estate, whether a structure you want to buy or just a land you want to buy, you must be very careful. And you must investigate, carry out your investigation. A wise man said that investigation is from the same word you get investment. And so before you invest your money into landed property, you must investigate. I've seen situations whereby they are judging cases of lands that were bought even 50 years ago, 80 years ago. And you wonder why. It's because there were no proper documentation. How I wish time will permit us to go into that, because today is just introduction to real estate. So you will bear with me, time will not permit us to go into all of these technicalities. So I just want to give us the introductory part of it. Now, like I've said before now, that real estate refers to land and everything that is in that land. And I made mention of something that let the buyer beware, which legally it is called caveat emptor. And so whether you are the one buying, whether you are the one selling, or whether you are an agent linking both the buyer and the seller together, you must be very careful. And so many people, they are scared of investing in real estate because maybe when they bought their first land, there were issues. But you can buy a landed property without having issue. You can buy a landed property without having issue. And you can still be a realtor, which is an agent, without having issue. You can be a real estate developer without having issues. You can be a real estate seller without having issues. But if you don't have the technicalities, you will be having issues. Now, the question is, what are the things you need to consider before going into real estate, whether as an agent, whether as a buyer, or you want to be selling? There are some things you must consider, because I've seen people, they just buy land. Before you buy the land, you must first of all define what you want to use it for. Then location matters also. Like take for instance, Dangote. Dangote normally buy water where there is water. And he has his own reason. And Dangote don't buy cities. If you are following me, just raise your hand so that I will know you are following. If you are getting value, just type, I'm getting value, I'm getting value, I'm getting value. I will share some personal stories with us also. Just that this is just an introduction. Subsequently, we'll be having our meetings every third Sunday like this. So please just bear with us. Okay. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope others are following. Okay. Now, Dangote don't buy cities. He buy bush. And these are people who have been into real estate. So when they say Dangote is the richest man in Africa, not because of the money, the cash he has in the bank, it's the real estate he has. If Dangote even shows that the refinery is building in Lagos, it's not going to continue with it. The landed property there alone has appreciated. So you see the wisdom is using. But many of us is a poor man. Sorry for using this. Sorry for saying this. We are not here to use pompous words or use abusive words. But sorry for saying this. But the mindset of the poor is always, I'm looking for money to buy city. I'm looking for money to buy a place that is already developed so that we have neighborhood and all of that. But the rich, they don't do that. A rich man will go and buy bush and develop it, and the poor man will come and build and stay close to him. And that is the Dangote system of buying properties. You see, Dangote moved his refinery. He has the money to even buy the whole of, take for instance, buy the whole of Delta State, the city of Warri, and put the refinery there. But Dangote will not do that. He will go and buy bush. He will buy the bush and leave it for some time, plant towards it, then move whatever he wants to do there. Then before you know it, the poor will begin to go and buy in that same area. So the rich always buy bush, they buy forest, and they keep it. And that is what they call land banking. So the rich men, you see, they don't keep their money in the bank. It's even the money of the poor people that they kept in the bank that the rich will go and borrow. That is why you see that the bank don't give money to poor people. I think this is an eye-opening to someone now. So the rich don't keep their money in the bank. They even take the money that the poor kept in the bank and they use it to buy real estate that they will later sell to the poor again. So you see the strategy of the rich. Meanwhile, the poor man is saving his money that, oh, I want to wait until I have 5 million before I buy a landed property. And by the time you raise the 5 million, where you are envisaging that this is where I'm going to buy the land, by the time you raise the 5 million, they no longer sell land for 5 million in that place. But the rich wants to buy a land of 20 billion. So when you hear that Dangote just bought 500 acres of land for 20 billion, maybe that 20 billion, you only paid 1 billion naira. These are the strategies. So don't wait until you have the whole money before you buy a landed property. These are the strategies they are using. And this is the strategy I've been using for some time now. I happen to be one of those who felt that until you have millions of naira, you can't own a land. Until you have millions of naira, you can't start the building project. But you see the rich. So you don't judge them by what they have in the bank account. You judge them by their net worth. And their net worth is measured by all the real estate they have. You think when they say Mark Zuckerberg, the owner of Facebook, is one of the richest people we have on earth, you think it's because of the money he has in the bank? It's the real estate. My boss, which is my mentor, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, that went to where they have their office, Facebook. He said they occupy over 500 acres of land. And that was not a city. He would go and buy the bush and make it a city. And so when you tell a poor man that, oh, there is a land somewhere, he's looking at the proximity, which is good also. But if you wait till you buy a city, you will wait. The wise people, they don't wait to buy a city. Because the city of today you are seeing, they were once the bush of yesterday. Take note of that. The cities of today were once the bush of yesterday. How many of us know Transcorp? Transcorp. How many of us know Transcorp? If you know Transcorp, just wave your hand. Just give me a wave. Now, let me tell you about Transcorp. These are the strategies people have been using to build wealth that many of us don't know. When they started Transcorp, Transcorp was in the middle of the bush of over 200 acres. You can go and do your research. For good 20 years, it was there, but if you go and check it now, people have built around it. So Transcorp, that was the forest, is now a city. This is how the wise people build their wealth. Now, having said all of this, what unique characteristics should you consider if you want to buy a land? What should you consider? Number one, you must consider, and this is where people have problem. And you know why they have problem? An agent will just come to you and tell you that, oh, please just pay for this land now, pay now. Somebody else wants to buy it. If you don't pay now, you will lose it. There are lands everywhere. These are strategies. Agent, because of his 5%, and the agent that are doing that must be careful also. So let the buyer beware. Remember that word, caveat emptor. Let the buyer beware, and use that is linking both buyer and seller. You must also beware. You see it? Now, you must put some things into consideration. You must verify. When they tell you that, oh, you want to buy, we have a land we want to sell, and is distress sale. As a matter of fact, when anybody makes mention of distress sale, you have to be very careful. Because when they say it's distress sale, meaning the person needs the money, I have seen situations whereby people sell properties for several reasons, and you must take note of that. People sell properties for several reasons. I have bought a land for one of my boss, one of our senior pastors in the Redeemed Christians of God, that somebody came and he said he wanted to sell the land. That is some few years ago, 2016. Wanted to sell the land, and the land happens to be his own. So we didn't take time to verify very well, because we just saw that the land was so cheap. Yeah, I think it was 800,000. Then, because we saw that the land was so cheap, we just went ahead and did the payment. Only for us to discover after 1 year that he stole the document from his brother. The document was not even his own. He stole the document from his brother, forged the name, and up to now, we've not even resolved that issue. And all of this taught me lessons. I remember buying my first land. I didn't verify very well, only for me to discover after 5 months that that same land had been sold to over 10 persons. And you know what the law says? The first person whose name appears on the document is the person that owns the land. And you know what happens? If they take that issue to court, maybe at the end of the day, they will ask the person when he wants to pay the money and how he will be paying the money. Maybe at the end of the day, he bought the land for 2 million. It comes to us, the person will say he wants to be paying 5,000 naira every month. The person has scattered your money already. So when you want to buy a land, you must investigate properly. Investigate from the family, especially a land that does not have document. Maybe the person says it's a family land. When buying a family land, you don't use one person's name. Let the person provide the family's name, and just one person does not sign. So these are things you must consider. But you must first of all define what you want to use the land for. Are you going to buy the land to build and stay, or you want to buy it and keep it for future purpose, or you want to buy and sell immediately? These are things you must consider. Are you with me? If you are getting value, say, I'm getting value, I'm getting value. I don't want you to just keep calm. Just say, I'm getting value. This is just the introduction. We have a lot to unveil. We have a lot to unveil. I can see we are 80 number already, and so many people have missed this class, but we'll send the audio recording to them. If you are getting value, type, I'm getting value. Now, when you want to buy a land, you must consider the natural resources. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I can see Brother Prince, Mr. Prince. Thank you very much that you are getting value. We wish to bring more value to every one of you. Now, you must consider the created environment. Have you wondered, take for instance, I have my mentor, the person of Dr. Poki. For those of us who are not in Delta State, I have my mentor, Dr. Poki. I bought some land from him at the frontal. Now, what he did first was he had to bring out a created environment. That is what we mean by created environment. He used his school, Petra Polytechnic, to advertise the land. And believe me, within the space of 5 months, he sold out over 90 acres, which I bought also. I bought from him also. So when you want to buy a land, you must consider the created. Have you seen people will buy a land and they want to build it? They are buying the land that they want to build and stay with their family. And they don't consider all this. They will go and buy a place. And for 10 years, 20 years, the place has not developed. 10 years, 20 years, because it didn't consider the created environment. And there are places people are staying for 30 years now, no light in that place. They didn't put all these things into consideration. So when you want to buy a land, you must put all these things into consideration. I've seen a situation whereby somebody just bought the place and he started the building, and that is waste. The money has been tied down in that place. You bought the place that you want to build it to stay, and you are buying a bush, and you put over 2 million naira to lay the foundation. And for good 10 years, nobody has come to that place to build again. Do you know that same money you put in that foundation, if you had used it to buy some land and resell, the money we make from that place will be enough? So when I'm buying property, when you just show me the place, I have left some properties of even 500,000. And I went to buy the one of 2 million. And somebody will be wondering, this property of 500,000 is cheaper than the one of 2 million. But I considered the created environment. There are some places I will even buy, and somebody will look at it and say, but this place is a village. But there are things I'm looking at. So when a wise man is buying the land, he's not seeing the bush. I hope you are following. When a wise man is buying a land, he's not seeing a bush. Like where we have our work it construction firm. I had to check the map of all this area, which many of the people in this community don't even know. And I realized that in the next 15 years, this is going to be the route to Port Harcourt and Bayelsa. It's a major express road. So some people will be wondering, why would you leave Ugele and come and put this thing here? This is the center of Warri. So if I'm going to Ugele, sorry, I know many of us are not from Delta State, but one day we'll have a get-together where you guys will come and see where Work Kit Construction Firm is. So these are things we put into consideration. I've used Dr. Poki as an example when he used his own university he wants to build to advertise for the land, and all those land were sold. So education facilities. Education facilities. Then another thing you must consider is transportation facilities. And that is one thing I love about the land we have. Most of the lands Work Kids have now. In fact, you just drive down. You drive down to the place. There are some people, when they want to describe where they stay, in fact, they don't even know how to describe it. If you visit them, you will get lost. You frustrate yourself and you go back. So you must have transportation facilities. These are the things that makes land to sell, especially those of us that want to go into real estate for the purpose of buying and selling. You must put all these things into consideration. Please, peradventure, you have some questions, you can type in your questions. I will attend to them. Put all these things into consideration. Transportation, it matters a lot. If you buy a place that you want to build and stay, and there is no access road, and when it is rainy season, everywhere is flooded. We have that in many places. Rainy season, there is a challenge. Dry season, there is a challenge. So you must put all these things into consideration. Then you talk about labor force. Labor force. Is there any company in that environment? Is there any government company in that environment? You must put all these things into consideration. Then another thing you must put into consideration, this is paramount. Okay. Others have joined us also. Mr. Prince, I think he has not joined. All right. Sorry for whatever happened. We've really touched a lot, but because it's just an introduction. But I will just share some few things. I'll share some few things so that those of us who are going into real estate and those of us who want to buy property, because it's either you are going into it as a business or you are selling for others, maybe land that you bought before under distress sale, or you are connecting both buyer and seller, which is a realtor or locally called an agent. But we at Workit Real Estate and Construction Company, we are real estate developers. And we develop for others, we develop our own property and we sell for others. And we equally have farmlands. But this is another opportunity that people take for granted. And like as I was saying before, some things you must put into consideration when you are buying a real estate or you are buying a landed property. I've made mention of natural resources. I've made mention of created environment. I made mention of educational facilities. I also made mention of transportation facilities. If you are buying a property and you don't have a road to your house, whether it is rainy season, no access road, whether it is dry season, and you can't, there is no landmark to even describe your place. And there are people who have bought this place and to live is a problem because they spent money on it. You see it now. So you must put all these things into consideration. Then you must also consider the climate. Then I also made mention of labor force. This is just a recap. Then leadership. You must consider the leadership. Do you know that there are some things we don't know? Do you know? Let me use. Who can tell me the name of the governor of Delta State? Can anybody help us? Or just make mention of the name of any governor of any state. Just type it so that we'll use that as an example. Type the name of the governor and the state. Is anybody helping us? Are we together? If you are getting value, type I'm getting value, I'm getting value, I'm getting value. I want us to be alive because this is real estate we're talking about. It's a serious matter. Yeah. Is there anyone that does not like real estate? If you know you don't want a land in your life, you don't want to buy a land, you hate land, just wave your hand. Say, I hate land. If you hate land, you don't want to buy a land, just say, over my dead body, I don't want to buy a land. I don't want to build. I want to continue to be a tenant. I don't even pray that prayer for anyone because the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and we must eat the good of the land. Has anyone helped us? Has anyone helped us with the name of any governor? There is something I want to just tell us. Let somebody just tell us the name of any governor in any of the Nigeria states. These are things you must know also. These are things that the rich men know that is helping them. Yeah. Before you do that, okay, somebody has helped us now. Kogi State Governor, Alhaji Yahaya Bello. Okay. Let me use that now. Do you know that Alhaji Yahaya Bello, as the governor of Kogi State, owns the whole land in Kogi State? He can decide to tell you now or your landlord to park from that compound. How many of us are aware of that? If you are aware, say I have been aware of that. Where I am now, yes, I have the legal documents, but the law of the land states that the governor owns every land. The land I bought with my money, the governor owns it. That is why you see, anytime, that is why we have the C of O. Even with the C of O, it covers for 90 years. So after 90 years, it's still the government property. So next time we're going to talk about documentation where we have the gazette and all of that. So let's leave that now. Another thing you must consider is local laws and regulations. Don't see the place as a village. Because the place is a village, you feel oh, the people are villagers. So if I buy land there, nobody has the right to threaten me or take my land. Please and please, anytime you are buying a landed property or you are buying a real estate, consider the local laws and regulations. Put them into consideration. You know, there are people who have bought lands in some places. I don't want to make mention of them. They bought the land in some places, local places, and you bought the land, for instance, for 2 million. And by the time you want to build, they will ask you to make settlement of over 3 million. When you want to dig a foundation that is not supposed to cost more than 100,000, they will tell you that the digging of the foundation alone is 300,000. They will tell you will pay for development fee, which we locally call in Delta State Deve. In Lagos, they call it Omonile. So we have Omonile issues everywhere. So maybe you budget 5 million for that house or that project. Before you know it, you end up spending 10 million. And that is why when you want to buy a real estate, you must put the local laws into consideration as well. Having said this, now for the sake of those who are not passionate about real estate, do you know the best legacy you can leave for your children? There are some properties I buy not just for myself, not just for the purpose of selling immediately. There are properties I will deliberately buy to keep them, and that is what we call land banking. And one thing you must learn if you want to be financially free, you must learn to bank your wealth on real estate. Bank your wealth in land. I bought a land just some few years ago, let's say barely 2 years, for 200,000. And I'm doing savings with First Bank, they call Salam. The profit that will come from that Salam, if I save continuously every month, the percentage they will give to me is nothing compared to, and I bought a land for 200,000, and within 2 years, I made a profit of over 500%. And that is what they call land banking. These are principles that the rich people apply, and they are hidden in books. And the surprising part of it is that sometimes I don't even pay the whole money to the person who wants to sell. We negotiate, and that is, you must learn how to negotiate with the vendor. As somebody wants to sell a landed property for you, and the person tells you that it's on distress sale, you ask the person, how much do you want to sell? He says, is a 2 million naira. It's okay, let's strike a deal. You prepare the deed, you sign for me, I will pay you an advance of maybe say 2 million naira. You say, okay, I will give you an advance of 1 million naira, and I will pay the other one in installment, sorry. So you see it, before you know it, you've acquired properties. And if you want to sell, you are not going to sell the same land, the same amount you bought it. But before you can make that land appreciate, all those things I've mentioned before, you must put them into consideration. Else, you will buy a land for 2 million, and maybe you want to sell, somebody will be pricing for 1.5 million, not up to what you bought. But if you put all these things I've mentioned into consideration, there is no way you will buy a land. You can even buy a land today and sell it and make profit from it the same day. We call that land flipping. But it all depends on the knowledge you have. But there are some lands you will buy today. It can even take you 5 years to sell it. It can take you 5 years to sell it. But if you don't put all these things into consideration, you will even discover that you will be regretting, why did I even buy this land? Why did I do this? You will regret that this is not what is worth doing. So the local laws, you must put them into consideration. Now, I want to talk to as many who don't have passion for what we are talking about, or who are not still sure yet that they can make their living from real estate. Now, most of the big men you are hearing of, the wealthy men you are hearing of, starting from the America, in fact, they are into real estate. Now, if you check after this meeting, you can check, you can Google it. John Malone, just a single man in the US, owns 2,200,000 acres of land. How many of us want to own that kind of land? I'm not talking about 20 plots or 20 acres. 2,200,000 200 acres of land, one man, one family, one man. If you say that in now, is in fact, it's more than what the Nigerian government has. 2,200,000 acres of land. So sometimes when I look at my 20 acres, 40 acres of land I have, I will just see that it's just a preamble. I'm just warming up. I'm just warming up. Are we together? If you are getting value, type I'm getting value. I want to wrap up now. In the next 10 minutes, I want to wrap up so that we can have time for Q&A. Type I'm getting value, I'm getting value, I'm getting value. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Are you getting value at all? There is another man they call Ted Turner. Thank you, Mr. Victor. Thank God you are getting value. Thank you very much. Ted Turner, this guy has 2 million acres of land. And meanwhile, we, the black men, you know our vision. And most of those things, I just see them as a result of selfishness. Haven't you heard people say, oh, if God can just give me 50 by 50, you have to go and pray. What you just did now is that you have limited the plan of God for your life and you are swearing for yourself. For you to have said, if you can just have 50 by 50, a man said that the land on earth, the land we have on earth, if we share that land, that each person, individual, will have 8 acres. We have over 7 billion people on earth. That if we share the land on earth, everyone will have his own 8 acres. Yet you are seeing some people saying, if I can just have one small place for me and my family, one room is okay. Let your dream be bigger than that. A man has 2 million acres of land. There is another man, the MRC family. MRC family alone has 1,950,000 acres of land. How many people can you say now in Nigeria that have that? Not even Dangote. Not even the Otedola. Not even there. So the people of US, they know that the real wealth is in real estate. So you must take note of that. Real wealth is in real estate. And you don't wait to buy land. You buy land and you wait for it to appreciate. Take note of all these things I'm telling you. Apply them. It will amaze you. Don't wait until you have the millions before you buy landed property. If it is even a bush, go and buy it. And I will share with you a story. I was not paying attention to this before. It was recently I started developing passion. And within the short time, in fact, I can boast of acres of land now. I want to surprise you with this story. I've shared it on my social media handles before. I had an uncle who was making money then. And as at that time, they were selling land for 5,000, even 15,000. So it's not even the money. That time he was making money. He was working with Julius Berger. But he didn't buy any property. And so it happened that he had an accident and he died. And so they wanted to bury him. The grave digger dug the grave. And it was just when they were about to lay him in the grave that a woman came that they must not bury him in that grave. That land belongs to her. She packed all kinds of dirt, stick, woods inside the grave. I was the one that jumped inside and packed those things out. We pleaded for him to be buried in that place. So it's a shameful thing that we are buying clothes, we are buying all kinds of things. There are people even buying cars. You are a tenant, you are having 2 cars. Thank God for that. To park in another man's compound is wrong. It's wrong. Because of awareness. They don't have the awareness. Ask them, do you have land? They don't. And they have the money. I was telling somebody about a landed property and the person bought the land for 2 million. Just within 2 months, he sold that land for 4 million. Which other business would have made that kind of money? Let me tell you about it so that we welcome some questions and we wrap up for today. We have the Ivy family. The Ivy family in the US has 1,246,000 acres of land. I want the same thing to be said about your family one day.
that the family, let me know the names of those who have joined us. I want, we have Sule. I want it to be said that Sule laid the foundation in the year 2014 in buying real estate. And his family, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, worth over millions of acres of land. I want it to be said that Victor attended just a seminar like this one day, and he had a vision. He broadened his horizon, and he said, no, I must be in this category. And in the future, they will be saying that the family of Victor has millions of acres of land in Nigeria. And I want it to be said about Mrs. Goodness also, and Mr. Solomon also. Here is Isaiah. Isaiah has left. How many of us want to have this testimony, want to have such thing written about us? How many of us want to belong to this category of people who owns acres of land? The people that owns the land governs the land. And that is why your landlord can just tell you that I don't want you to stay in this my compound again, pack out. People that owns land, you know what they are called? They are called landlords. So you are a lord. The only thing that qualifies you to be a lord is when you own a land. If you want to become lord, forget about the name they call you. Hey, Shema, Shema, Shema. If you want to be a big person and you want to be regarded as a lord, the only person, we have three lords. Is either Jesus is Lord, or the lords we have in the court of law, or your landlord. So which one do you want to be? And the greatest of them all is Jesus Christ. And the other one that follows is landlord. If the judge that is called a lord in the court does not have a land, that lord is nothing. So try in all you do, become a landowner. I think I will welcome one or two questions so that we wrap up for today. I will make note to you, but before I go and before I welcome the questions, I want to let you know, just like I've said, you don't wait to buy land. Don't wait for cities before you buy. You can buy a bush. The cities of today, they were once the bush of yesterday. We have some farmlands. If you want to buy and lease to others, you can buy and lease. We have earth ponds. Buy and lease to others. You can leave it. You can even farm on it, whether cassava or whatever. That is land banking. You can resell in the next 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, depends on when you want to sell. We at Work It Real Estate, we can still help you to market it. Thank you. If I've tried my best, you can just say, I got value, I got value, I got value. And if you have your question, you can go ahead with your question. Let me attend to them so that we can wrap up for today. You have your question. Let me welcome your question. You can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. It's quite unfortunate that Brother Prince has left the meeting. Who else is with us? Okay. Mr. Prince is right back. The audio will be sent. You are joining this now, but if you have questions, just unmute yourself and ask your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question. Okay. Thank God that you all got value. You have any question you want to ask?
Any question? If you have any question, just unmute yourself and send in the questions. Let me attend to them before we call it a day. All right. If you got value, just type, I got value, I got value, I got value. Let me hear from you. Once again, we are sorry that there was an emergency break that we've attended to, but we promise we'll send the audio recording to us on the group. And we'll let you know also where we'll be having the next masterclass, where we unveil some secrets of wealth in real estate that has helped us in Work It Real Estate and Construction Company. Thank you very much for joining us. And let Mrs. Goodness do the vote of thanks. Then we'll call it a day. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, now you were saying something about buying a real estate where maybe in the future time it will get developed. So can you quickly tell us the factors to consider or to see in the future time that okay, this also place is going to be developed in the later future? Can you just tell us some factors to consider?
Okay. Now, I made mention of natural resources. I made mention of natural resources. But let me touch that aspect of transportation facilities. And I do make mention of educational facilities. But the strategy that my mentor used, which I'll be using also, which I illustrated somebody in Delta State here, the person of Dr. Poki. So when you want to buy a place, you look at the thing that will make the place to appreciate on time. Take, for instance, the Redeemed Christian Church of God, where the Redeemed Christian Church of God is in Ibadan. When the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, by the grace of God, I happen to be a member of ROCCG. When he bought that place some years ago, it was a forest. It was a forest that most of those properties were even given to him free of charge. Then he considered that place is an express road, which is Ibadan Express Road. There was no building there. And people were even saying then, you see how wise men think. People were saying that why would, even some people in the church questioned that action. Why would he go and buy bush, buy a forest where there are snakes and wild animals? But it's a major road, express road in that place. So these are things you must consider. Now, he bought the first 40 acres for 20,000 naira. 40 acres. To buy a plot of land in that place now, you must hold a minimum of 10 million. That was the same place he bought over 40 acres for 20,000 naira. So when you want to buy, you want to go into land banking, you look at the place. Okay, how is this place going to be in the next 10 years? Where is the road network? Then you must also
follow the news and your local laws and all of that. Listen to what the government wants to do. Just pay attention. Oh, the government wants to do a project in so place. And that is why people are buying in Ekpe now. You see it now. Ekpe was a big village before. But the moment people heard that Dangote wants to build refinery there, people who were wise, they ran ahead of time to buy. So these are things you put into consideration. You must be well informed. Like where we are here now, I learned that in the next 15 years, it's going to be a major road to Port Harcourt if the government does not fail. And if this place is a major road to Port Harcourt, people will no longer be coming, people who are coming from Warri, they will no longer need to pass through Ughelli. Anyone that is conversant with that route will know what I'm talking about. They will just pass through here. So these are things you put into consideration. So when wise men are doing something sometimes, you don't know that their decisions they are making is as a result of the information they have. So you must buy based on the information you have. Put all those things into consideration. Then the local laws also, put them into consideration, because there are some people, when they sell land for you, they will tell you that if you don't develop the place in the next 5 years, they will resell it. These are some of the local laws in some places. So they are selling for you with the mind that you are going to come and develop their community. So, but if you are buying that you want to keep it for 20 years, there are some local laws that does not permit that. So when you are going into land banking, you must put all these things into consideration. What are the local laws? If I buy this place and I leave it for 15 years, will they permit all of this? So you must put all these things into consideration. Have I answered your question? Don't forget, I also talked about the climate. I talked about the leadership. I talked about the created environment. Created environment in the sense that maybe you buy the place and you want other people to come and you want to sell. Maybe you buy the place for 1 million this year for a plot and you want to sell for 2 million. You can put created environment like golf. People love playing golf. Or you can put a resort. When you put a resort now or a hotel, you see it, because of that alone, it will make the value of that place to appreciate. That is what we mean by created environment. Like when we bought this place, there was nothing here before. But the moment we put the structure, people are seeing Work It Company. If, as a matter of fact, all the lands in this place now, I was buying a plot of land here before for 300,000 until they started selling a plot for 1 million. A place that somebody wanted to sell for me before for 4 million, an acre of land just close to Work It construction firm. He said the place is now 8 million. That was 3 months ago. Because of what? Created environment, because we have built Work It construction company, and that has made the value of land to appreciate in this place. So these are some of the things you need to put into consideration. Are we getting value after all? If you know we did not waste your time, just type, I got value, I got value, I got value. Any other person having a question? Any other question? Okay. Okay, Joshua just joined us. Welcome on board, Joshua. Though you joined us very late, but we've touched a lot of things. And just a recap. We have also, okay. All right. Any question again? We're wrapping up now. All right, let Mrs. Goodness just do the vote of thanks. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure teaching us this one tonight. And we'll let you know also when we'll be having our next masterclass. Please do yourself a favor and join us, and we'll communicate the time to you, and our host will let us know also. We appreciate you all. Thank you. Do have a wonderful day. All right, bye. Once again, I'm Solomon Akpofuri, the Managing Director of Work It Real Estate and Construction Company. If you have any question you wish to ask, especially those who joined us very late, you can drop the question on the group. We'll attend to them, and we'll send the audio to every one of us so that we can have it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, our daddy, Mr. Prince. Thank you. I can see someone here who is Mr. Joshua. Yes. Thank you for joining us. Then I don't know this Sule. Sorry, Mr. Sule. Forgive me. Pardon me. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It has been an exciting experience, and in fact, I learned a lot, and I trust we all learned a lot also. Thank you for your time. Thank you also for your data. Permit me to say that. We are grateful for having us here, and we promise that subsequently we'll be having sessions like this where the secrets in the real estate business will be unraveled to us. And I want us to also tell another person that we are learning and that they should join us. Let's not be selfish. Let's pass the message across so that we all can be informed, and together we will meet at the top. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you also, Mr. Isaiah. Thank you, Mr. Victor, all the way from the Federal Capital Territory. We appreciate your presence. Thank you, everyone, and have a pleasant evening.